it's easy to not really remember people's names.
If I have a weakness as a fucking podcaster or a human being, other than the various decisions that led to me being maybe the earliest divorced person I know, that is probably it.
It was 26?
20...
It resolved by the time you were 27, right?
It did resolve by the time I was 27, and what an adventure that was. Yeah, the whole cycle started when I was 26, and then...
It went on and on. I remember being there for it. And every couple of weeks there was a new story about a new stalling tactic.
It was impressive. I will say that all the fucking red pill stuff they say about the courts really isn't how it shakes out. You can just throw up your own chaff in the air if you're not a vegetable.
What did the red pills say about the courts? Just that
they will look down upon
just
the
that every
gender
judge,
and say...
Every judge sees the bulge in your pants and just seethes with fucking hatred.
They ask, why did you bring this filthy sausage into my courtroom? Cut it off immediately. By the way, as I pull up the Wikipedia for today's show, I am kind of displeased with the Google tracking algorithm, as Rascal auto-filled into things like Rascal Flats and other nonsense before Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Apparently, it is known in some circles as Rascally Rabbit or Wascally Wabbit, which
that's amusing.
That's good.
That's amusing. I imagine Bugs would have a very interesting tulpa.
We're gonna have to watch the movie to figure out if I was right about that, because I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
I wouldn't bet a large amount of money on that.
I would bet some amount of money, enough that I'd be really happy with what I got back.
Yeah, I'd bet like $15 on that.
I bet like 50.
That's a
and
confident
if I got
man.
back, and if I got back 100, I could just take that to the bar. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I could take it to the liquor store. That could be even more fun.
Right. You could continue your sort of bartending version of Beatrix Kiddo punching wood.
I'm going to get a bottle of the scotch that I got for you for Christmas for myself because of how much I fucking adored it.
That thing is nice. When I try to take that thing casually, I tend to lose a bit of the evening. It's good though.
It's so good. Not even in a whole like, oh bro, I'm gonna get so fucked up on expensive scotch sort of way. I don't actually know anyone who does that. But
who are these bros you've met?
It is actually just a delicious thing to eat/drink.
I'm just imagining you just have a really refined set of fraternity gentlemen in your orbit now.
I would love to see the frat bro who gets fucked up on like a fucking Balvenie 18-year.
I guess
Shot.
I guess in theory, if you were wealthy and dumb enough, that's just the alcohol that was around, and you just want to shoot something.
Can one shoot really? I mean, I guess
ethically no, but
ethically no. I mean, it's possible to shoot really expensive scotch. I'm wondering if it would be just too fucking if the scotch itself would just be too fucking overbearing to really facilitate shots.
I don't know, that's the kind of shit that Batman beats people up over.
Alright, it's a Bunny Girl.
Bunny Girl, which also features a combatant with a strong sense of justice in one episode.
Was probably my favorite fucking moment in the entire goddamn thing. Bunny Girl. Shows like Bunny Girl, they awaken this pretentious schoolmarm inside of me.
Yeah.
Where I look at, the quintessential quintuplets of the world, and I point at Bunny Girl and shout, "Why can't you be more like your sister? She's Kino."
I felt like the universe was making the nicest joke it has ever made at my expense. Because the universe gets a lot of jokes at my expense. Don't get me wrong. I could get in Rain, Urine, the I want to be the guy, I think it happened, apples can fall up.
Mm-hmm.
But the second I went on a whole rant on, this whole, like, romantic fantasy thing doesn't even have to fucking suck. Like, you can even just go through this emotional territory and just make other things interesting. And then the next show we pretty much picked out of a hat. Like, you had run into this before, right?
I think I had watched a couple episodes of it previously. Very, very much enjoyed it. I think I watched the first arc. And thought it was great, and then I just didn't end up watching any more of it. And then for whatever reason, something compelled me back to the show.
So here we are, late to the party, and I guess what I'm getting at is that because the universe heard me bitching,
it sends you Bunny Girl.
It sent me Bunny Girl, which is...
Oh, you should have heard him. You should have heard him doing pre-snark before we actually started watching it. He'd look like a fucking moron if you'd hear it.
It's true. I would have fucking buried myself. It would be some 2016
He
raw
was so
shit
convinced he was gonna be doing the fucking hate watch of a goddamn lifetime. He had all his fucking jokes ready to go.
Oh, dude, I was fucking loading that revolver. The opening scene of the show is a girl walking around in a fucking Playboy bunny costume in a library. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to dump on this motherfucker. But this is a show who, like, on the whole romantic axis, does have that core built-in sort of fantasy of, like, 5 tens are interacting with you, and one of them falls in love with you.
2.
Well, familial love is a type of love. Whatever, but...
No, I'm talking about Koga.
Koga... Yep, just 2. Yeah,
that's right. Just 2.
Yeah, 2 of them fall in love with you. And it's just a very idiosyncratic, smart, clever, well-paced out show, so, you know... Fuck me, I guess.
Sometimes Dennard gets to be wrong.
I do get to be wrong.
So, from what I understand, people will watch shows, like Quintessential Quintuplets, and I don't mean to dunk on that one extra hard because I'm not angry with Quintessential Quintuplets. I'm more disappointed by it. But that sort of fucking show, right? They'll watch shit like that for the waifus, which is, I guess, why any inane bullshit of its caliber gets made. Horniness, or loneliness, depending on how you look at it, is a commodity, and all a show has to do is satisfy that demand, which Bunny Girl certainly does. I remember when this was airing, you could not escape how much people wanted Mai to step on them.
I can only imagine a cocaine version of the Chizuru fandom.
Chizuru from what?
I might be getting her name wrong. From fucking Rental Girlfriend.
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
And we go back to the remembering names problem.
It's a thing. We don't fuck with proper nouns on this show.
We don't fuck with proper nouns. If you like proper nouns, fuck you. When it does more than just satisfy the horniness demand, right? That's damn near all it takes for a show to feel special, like Bunny Girl does.
And it does feel special. It has a fascinating fucking elevator pitch of Twilight Zone teenage romance, which, I don't know, maybe that's been done somewhere else before. I didn't fucking come across it, but I enjoyed its execution of it.
Well, because this was a show that, was popular among at least our sector of weebdom, but perhaps not ubiquitous. Let's go over the premise. For those of you who missed it, in the show's world, occasionally teenage angst will manifest as magical realism.
Oh, so we had a thing where I said I would smack Sam in the face if he said the words magical realism on a podcast I was involved in. Well, I specifically said I would walk off, and I really wish he could have held out until we were maybe over half an hour in, because I think I would have just done it.
But it's raining out there, and we're at my apartment. Oh, actually, if we were doing this at your apartment...
Yeah, then it'll be tough to walk out.
Then it'd be, harder to walk out. Okay. It's still raining.
But yes, supernatural science fiction.
Is this like a college thing? Because you never quite adequately explained why you were threatening to walk out.
How do I put this? I need a less hyperbolic way of saying this. But in terms of my association with a concept with a certain type of person, magical realism is too pretentious, as white genocide is to chud. And that is probably what happened.
I'll take your fucking word for it. So the teenage angst will manifest as magical realism, often in a sort of careful with what you wish for sort of way.
Predominantly, yeah. Sometimes it's less of a wish and more just a sideways metaphor.
Yeah. Like a teenage celebrity, right? With a stage mom who resents her fame, becomes invisible to people. A girl so immensely sensitive to how she's perceived by her peers will be able to replay entire days until she's satisfied with how her interactions with them went. That sort of thing. It's kind of genius how simple it is, and how easy it is thus to swallow for a viewer. Weird syntax there, but
I definitely agree with that. I was always impressed that the show moved and also never really overwhelmed you conceptually.
no, it's so obviously allegorical.
Yeah.
Is the thing that you don't really need to look for an explanation as to why it's happening. It's just that kind of show. No proper nouns or world building besides adolescent syndrome. Really, it's Sam catnip. Honestly, I was
they
destined
could have
to love this show. Really,
they could have even gotten away with never dropping the words adolescent syndrome.
I like the idea that it is a rumor in universe.
That is cool, but I guess I'm more just crediting how these things are delivered because these events come in a way where it could have just been the short story prompt of the day. It's like, yeah, this is happening now.
Secret organization dedicated to stopping.
Oh yes, in my acidic nightmare world, this would have immediately devolved into some kind of shonen battle thing. By the way,
I'm so glad it didn't. I'm so glad that. I don't know what demographic this was. I think it felt like seinen to me. I mean, it's aimed at teenagers, so probably shonen, but it did feel like seinen. Sort of.
I am bad at moneyballing where these things are aimed age-wise sometimes.
Because I know that Kaguya-sama is a seinen show.
Really? That's in it?
Yeah, it's because it's aimed at people in their fucking 20s like us who think that teenagers kidding themselves out of things is fucking hilarious. And it totally is.
It definitely is. It definitely is. But yeah, that's an interesting question.
So, this is a very dialogue-based show. And I find that because of how fundamentally different Japan is from English, it can sometimes feel like any smart dialogue or clever turns of phrase present in anime get lost in translation to English. And what we get stateside sounds comparatively blunt and sometimes obtuse in comparison. This is the dub problem, but I do find that sometimes subs, it feels less than elegant oftentimes. And you think that sentence was probably a really beautiful sentence in Japanese, right?
I have been reading a book of Japanese grammar and it makes me want to shove glass up my nose.
I don't doubt it. It might be proof of my point, I'm not sure.
It proves the difficult of elegant translation.
Okay, yeah, so there you go. Like, a show I loved, Katanagatari. You should watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only anime I've ever seen that was a TV anime, and it has 40-minute long episodes. I've never seen that before or since.
Oh wow, Netflix syndrome really has not kicked in the door there yet, huh?
It was probably way the fuck more Sorkin-y in its original Japanese than we got stateside. I mean, it's great. Fantastic anime. A whole lot of people's favorite. With Bunny Girl, though, I did not feel as though we had to deal with that problem.
It came across really well, and I just wonder if they paid some PhD student in cocaine to do this, or
yeah, maybe the credit goes to the translators for just knocking it out of the park this time. That could very well be. But Bunny Girl's dialogue felt every bit as snappy as a show like Archer.
Yeah, it is whip smart. I genuinely enjoy the back and forths in this thing, and the show is not, at least as far as I read intentionality, is not an out and out like character comedy, but it's closer to just how Breaking Bad is hilarious sometimes.
Yes, I mean, it is probably best classified as a drama. It just has above average bants for, a drama or any anime, really.
Yeah, it's one of the better roasters at the Friars Club. It's sitting in that Jeff Ross seat loading its guns.
Honestly, I'm having a hard time thinking of an anime with better bants than... So you were talking about Kaguya-sama, and I just thought of... Does it have better bants, though? Which show has better bants? Kaguya-sama or this?
Which show has better bants, Kaguya-sama or this? I like the dry quality of the banter within this one.
True, yes.
I think that maybe this would probably win the verisimilitude battle, except for Kaede, who I will talk about later. Kaguya-sama
Kaede was a work.
is very good at distinct character voices within the banter versus this, whereas this, I think sometimes
There is perhaps a little bit of hyperbole present in Kaguya-sama's bands.
yeah, and that is good at sometimes just drawing the lines between personalities.
I think if there's any hyperbole present in Bunny Girl Senpai, everyone is hyperbolically well spoken, given that they are 16 and 17 and are not calling one another homophobic slurs. Because I remember there was a whole lot of that going on when I was 16.
No, there wasn't. We have never done such
No, I've
things.
never done anything like that. No one has.
I
And if they have, then they deserve to be canceled.
I have just decided to stop critiquing the actions of people under the age of 18 on the internet. As I just look back at the most offensive thing I said between 12 and 18.
I think you can really... I think it's possible to tell if someone is just out and out fucking evil.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they're just stupid, though.
There is a whole lot of vitamin S.
Because
And I don't mean Shaggy's.
I was 16 and fucking stupid once. There's a bad word, that because of certain people who do not wish to wear a certain garment on their face this past year, I've been using in open conversation more often than I perhaps should.
It really leaks. It's like radiation. It's like gamma in the
And
fucking
I'm sorry,
Hulk.
I just can't help it.
The energy is looking for a host. It's looking for someone to express it.
It's bad and ugly, and I'm a worse person for having used this word so often to describe this type of person who will not wear a certain type of garment on their face.
And it's more polite than murderer.
Is it though?
To them, not to society at large. Perhaps murder is more fucking accurate.
Yeah, I mean, murderer is far more accurate.
Oh, by the way, while I'm on the Gamma thing, before I go right back to this, the Immortal Hulk is probably the most readable Marvel book going.
Like, right now?
Yeah.
Who's the writer again?
It's this guy named Al Ewing who's writing it.
Al Ewing. I don't think I've ever heard of his work.
He's done a whole bunch of shit before this, but this is just his sort of break. I don't know if it's his breakout thing, but it's where I became aware of him in my orbit.
Okay, sure.
Whatever. Back to Bunnyland. So yeah, very strong dialogue in this, and it comes off strong in its translated iteration.
Yes. This is dialogue driven, as we've been saying, but it bears mentioning how really nice this show looks. In a very understated way. Like, little enough of the animation feels cheap. There are one or two kind of conspicuously CGI crowd shots that are obvious if you're looking for them here and there. And that is the exception, though, not the rule. The thing is, I want to call it wisely directed. None of the scenes are longer than they need to be, and they often cut before a given conversation is over, but after we learn everything we need to learn, right? It's as the scene is about to stop being interesting, they end it.
They also sometimes end episodes on like the sort of Venture Brothers ending gags. Not necessarily a gag, but like something that's punchy.
Okay, yeah.
Like after the credits, a lot of times on the fucking Venture Brothers, they will have
little,
like 10-second interactions.
I think always at the end of the credits on the
Always,
Venture Brothers. Yeah.
And there's one or two episodes of this that had moments that reminded me of that.
Pour one out.
I don't know. They are really desperate to get people on this HBO Max thing. They might try to corner the
you
smart
could totally fucking you could totally corner. You could get. I want to say that there's about 30,000 of us. You could totally get 30,000 new subscribers by putting Venture Brothers on HBO Max. I would totally fucking get it.
So to Randy Quaid, who is a mid-level Time Warner executive,
he is,
who that listens to. I've totally made that up. I just like making up viewers sometimes. It makes me smile. When it comes to the pacing of these scenes,
why'd you call him Randy Quaid?
Subconscious.
All right, that's bound to confuse people though, because he has been in the news lately.
All right, fuck it. I'll re-record the joke then. So to Miranda Turnerton, an employee of the Warner Corporation. Know that enlisting the Venture Brothers to your cause will put many pieces of silver in your coffers. Now, when it comes to the pacing of scenes in Bunny Girl,
They will get asses on couches.
here is a thing to its credit.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch anime these days, and this is my weakness, I'm not saying it's an innately a bad thing, but when fucking idols come up, my brain just dials down, and the words idol posting.
I don't care.
I don't care even a little, because the thing that makes me not care even a little, other than the thing by itself by default, which again, my bias, my fault, but the thing that makes me not care is that it will normally just zoom into the minutia of a performance, but also in a way that it reveals a sort of lack of direct knowledge about the topic, and it's using well-worn tropes at the same time. Normally not this show. So normally these three things come together into just this perfect storm of me not giving a fuck. And then there's this whole idol concert scene coming in this show at one point. I don't know if it's spoilers, not for me to talk about the fucking context, but there's a scene that has a concert.
Yes.
And I am ready to just be dragged across the coals for the next 3 episodes. And instead, there's a song, and then they're backstage.
Yep.
And a lone tear crosses down my cheek.
They don't drag your dick across broken glass.
Yes, my loins are well intact. So yeah, it has a good sense for timing.
I also love all those little fucking... What would you even call them? Just Sakuga gags? Just bits of physical comedy that I can remember that are just blocked, animated, and then edited to absolute fucking perfection. And I guess the best example, the best, most obvious and easy to explain example is just, when Mai kind of runs towards him from across the fucking ball field and then slaps him really goddamn hard.
Yeah. The little bits of physical humor in this are great.
They feel so lamp bumpy because you would not notice, right? It's not like the show was lacking for anything. You would not notice if they were not there, but they give the show such fucking character with their presence.
They do, and in the things like leading up to these moments, they are just very good at the basic shell game thing of a physical gag of waiting for, basic human interaction, do other understandable but not expected thing.
There was this
generate laughter.
Yes. There was this one fantastic one in the second arc, the Koga arc, where I cannot exactly remember the circumstances behind it exactly. I will need to rewatch the episode, but he's visiting Futaba, science chick, in the science room, and on the other side of the science room, because he's at the door, and at the other side of the science room is the window where it's on the first floor. So their jock friend runs by, who she likes, right? And so he's at the window.
And this one now I remember.
The jock friend is at the window, and he's at the door, and I cannot exactly remember why he wanted out of this fucking situation pronto, but he closes the door, and then a couple of seconds pass, and then Futaba opens the door, angry with him now.
What are you presuming of my character, good sir?
And I actually cannot remember the context for this gag. I just remember how hard it made me laugh.
The subtext was he was playing it like, ooh, better leave these two lovebirds alone. That's a sort of harassy kind of maneuver. Right. And she's saying, well, what kind of shit do you think you're playing?
Sakuta is such a great fucking protagonist, by the way.
Sakuta is just one of the best executions I've seen of... It is this really frequent Japanese rom-com thing where the main character is basically an interpersonal social worker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not codified so hard, but yeah.
In the sense that they share that trait, he and Natsuo are almost like cousins. But Sakuta is a rational human being.
Which one's Natsuo?
Natsuo is domestic girlfriend guy. Who is
so he uses his powers for evil.
Yeah. We're talking about the difference between Spider-Man and Venom here. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Fucking Natsuo is a goddamn sexual supervillain. Wait. That sounds really bad. He's a romantic supervillain. There we go.
I kind of want to do a little lineage hopping across romance manga at some point, because I want to figure out if light novels influence this sort of interpersonal social worker kind of model, because that could very well just be a sort of side effect of the structure
I know that
of a Ellen. Oh, sorry, what?
Yeah, I know that I've watched at least one or two light novel adaptation rom-com anime where the male protag is totally a fucking social worker. Love Chunbyo and Other Delusions is a very good example off the top of my head. The fuck is Doragairu, that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I should watch that. I
Tell me how it is.
should make up my mind about that one. Oragairu is another example. You could kind of say that what's his dick? The Monogatari series, but in a very Monogatari kind of way. And this show definitely, like, he was reading Monogatari, right? He was reading Baka Monogatari.
This is my whole as a human being and anime critic, have not interacted with that whole franchise.
Are you familiar with the premise?
Not even.
Okay, so it's basically kind of structured in the way that this is, where it's, the main character goes around helping, various girls with fun character designs, with various supernatural woes tied to their personality. In the Bakemonogatari series, their supernatural woes are often tied to aspects of mythology and Japanese mythology in particular, whereas this is a far more general sort of your teenage angst causes weird sci-fi shit to happen kind of thing.
Really is the middle point between freaks and geeks on the Twilight Zone, and that is a very fun premise to me.
What I like is how squishy the sci-fi feels. Like, it never feels like it needs to be too amazingly hard.
Yeah, and it is definitely a semi-solid. Like, I don't know. There probably is a universe where you could do, I don't know, something like those old science adventure games, like the thing that Steins Gate comes from.
Sure, yeah.
But maybe that would demand too much. Maybe that'll take up too much space. Like, this thing, its eyes are really set on just getting these character dynamics right.
Yeah, because it is
right.
just a character show. That is where everything lives, is with these characters.
And ultimately, going for like middle or harder sci-fi, it would be another plate to spin on its nose. Which maybe you could do it. It does not take away from the show that it's not there.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't need to do it, because this series is just not fucking about that. It is about being a teenager, specifically a teenager in this day and age. It often feels like, and how the unique problems that a teenager in this day and age sort of manifest, right? And what they can feel like. And I loved the sort of way in which every now and again, not with all of them, but in some cases, it was sort of this expression of, this is what this problem feels like. Mai is turning invisible, or Futaba literally has split in two.
I mean, the whole core thematic conceit is basically everyone as an observed object, as far as I can tell, right?
Yeah.
If you were to do my, I don't know, fucking English 101, reading the whole thing, like you have the main girl, she's a celebrity, that's easy enough. Our main lad is something of an outcast because of the rumors around the whole industry. You have that running tab of fighting the atmosphere or not fighting the atmosphere.
And that seems to be one of the main undercurrents of the show, is just his championing being the silent iconoclast, I guess.
Yeah, their word for atmosphere sounds like cookie, so I always remember it in class. And
Cookie.
And that idiot observation aside,
Cookie!
I think my favorite iteration was the Futaba thing, where it's her relationship with the attention she didn't want that she was getting, the attention that she wanted and wasn't getting, the attention that she could get but it was in a way she didn't necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
And just playing that shell game.
I think the Koga arc was the most fascinating to me. It was definitely the way that her anxieties were the most identifiable to me, and thus the way that her adolescent syndrome manifests. And for those of you listening who have not watched, her whole thing is that she can if not replay days, then create projections of days an infinite number of times, I guess. Or at least not an infinite number of times because she has to live through them every time, but as many times as she wants until she decides that the day went all right that time and they skip through to the next day. I wish I could fucking do that.
I cannot believe, after all of the anime and cape shit and high fantasy stuff I've gone through in my time,
Like, that's the
the
superpower.
superpower I want the most comes from a fucking teenage romance thing.
It's so cool. I could just nail every fucking interaction with everyone eventually.
Eventually, yeah, it's
I
like
like
a
that it's
non-idiot version of the fucking... God, what's that fucking isekai? I don't care. Okay.
Oh, you're thinking of Ray Zero.
Yeah, it's like that for people that read books.
The Ray Zero is a light novel. Wait, hold on. I just remembered. I don't care.
Very true.
I think they never really endless ate it where it's happened thousands and thousands of times. It happens 3 times once and twice another, maybe 4 times another time in show. And it seems to be limited by how much she wants to fucking do this again and again.
Yeah, and she has to essentially... It starts out with, again, the whole being an observed person thing where she is just clinically embarrassed about every aspect of herself as a human being.
Well, she's immensely empathetic. I mean, that's sort of, that is sort of the plight of the overly empathetic, is that you are really fucking keyed in to everyone's thoughts, perhaps about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it can often lead to anxiety. Hold on, I can do a better job of explaining this. When a particularly empathetic or empathic person is going to have a better idea of what people think of them in particular than most, right? And they will probably, if they are the anxious type, as Ko is, hyperfixate on anything negative that people think about them. Often exaggerating.
So
That,
it is...
the whatever negative thoughts they have.
So it is life in just the edible, they know state.
In a sense,
Eternally.
especially if you're a teenager.
Ah. Well, let me tell you, I know that struggle. They used to call me Dennard Empathy Dayle, or I presume they do. I just sort of assume people are thinking what I'm thinking. That's how it works.
Yeah, man.
It's, you know, just autopilot for interacting with the world. It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
Sometimes I imagined having to fucking live in a world where adolescence syndrome existed and people came to me with their fucking problems about it. And I'm not Sakura. I just tell them, oh, man, you need to fucking work your shit out.
Dude.
You got a fucking doppelganger out there. That's fucked up, dude.
Imagine a second string acquaintance of yours looks at you soulfully and says, "Hey, Sam. Lately bees have been crawling out of my nose. I don't know what it means. You know, my mom used to have this orchard. Yeah, that's cool."
Sure she did.
Your fucking ex texts you and just says, "I'm turning red and green and I don't know what it means."
It means that the writer's running out of ideas.
Your dad fucking calls you and says, I'm not appearing in photos anymore, son.
It's adolescent syndrome. Fuck off.
Some people are just gonna have to live with their shit.
I'm fucking 28. Wait, am I in this version of this little scenario? Am I 17? Like, oh god, I don't fucking want I don't even like imagining that. Oh, fuck that. Oh, fuck being a teenager. Now I understand why they need an entire fucking quarter of all media to be about that.
You're gonna look across the fucking room, and you're just gonna see a kid with dicks for fingers. And everyone knows it means chronic
Stop
masturbation.
masturbating. Stop fucking masturbating. It's gonna be so easy. No, it's hard. It's hard all the time. It's hard right now.
Oh, man. It is going to make domestic abuse situations way easier to identify and way harder to deal with.
There, because that's when the fucking ReZero shit will start happening. You know, you'll confront the dude, he'll fucking break your neck, and then you'll wake up the next day. Like, well, not that way.
It's like, oh, I gotta bob and weave, I guess.
Gonna have to try it again. Speaking of bob and weave, I think my single favorite moment in the show.
Yes.
Not my favorite gag, because the door gag, I think, was my favorite gag. But my single favorite moment in the show was this really kind of quiet little moment. Also, in the Koga arc, again, I just think that was the best one. It's the second one, where he finds out that the dude who was trying to ask her out during the days that she was replaying has started spreading slut-shaming rumors about her. And he sees this. He sees it's either in a text or she tells him, and there's this silent little moment where he kind of like looks up a little bit, and you get this sense
see the wheels turning.
It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna have a fight. That's cool. I wanted to do this today. This is awesome.
And
I'm getting in a fight.
They dip the quill in the Sorkin inkwell again for the scene after, where the friend he talks to about everything, he just asks next, how do you like win a fight with a bigger guy?
I like the fight itself plays out, you know, like somewhat interestingly, but it's mostly just the scene where he knows that it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Yeah. He just honor demands.
It is known.
And he just knows that he's not the kind of guy to let this sort of thing go. It's a wonderful little character moment for him.
Yeah, they should have recorded like a J-pop cover of Knuck a Few Bucks to just play softly in the background as he contemplated this.
We should talk about Kaede.
You want to talk about Kaede? So
she was a work.
Kaede.
That's my hot take. Kaede was a work.
I need to go. First, I need to explain the setup here.
Sure.
He has a little sister named Kaede. Our main character, when I say he, has a little sister named Kaede. And spoilers, yada yada.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like pretty big spoilers. It's the final arc of the series. So
this whole time, Kaede is pushed into the mix as this highly energetic, slightly cloying, very cloying. I found her very cloying.
Extremely cloying, overly affectionate Kigurumi wearing. I do like her Kigurumi.
That's fine. I have word
comfy.
Problems with her. And her voice actress is doing the most because she's doing the most.
Mm-hmm.
And her adolescent syndrome thing is she was bullied and started getting these marks on her body.
I mean, that was the first...
Then there's the Prestige.
Yes.
Where it turns out this whole time she has had amnesia in... I am really happy that I've used the words finale and amnesia and I don't feel the words hack coming out of the back of my throat. But yeah, she had some kind of limited amnesia, so she had to sort of reconstruct her personality. So here's what I'll say. In its defense and in its condemnation...
Mm-hmm.
I get it. She rebuilt this annoying dick fuck personality because she had no memories. Totally get it. Get the message, get the narrative, get the intentionality. It was like having a stiletto heel on my fucking ball every scene she was in.
I don't know, I really like that one fucking gag where he brings like the fucking fifth girl to his apartment and she accuses him of being a gigolo.
That is fun. Yeah.
That was I think one of the funnier moments of that arc.
Yeah.
I think it was the one with my sister. I'm pretty sure it was the one with my sister. Because at that point he'd had Futaba over, he'd had Toga over, he'd had Mai over. I think he'd had, you know, like the middle school... The de-aged version of it. I don't even fucking know how that went because that's in the movie.
So I'm going to do the opposite of damning something with faint praise.
Mm-hmm.
I will praise this with poison.
Sure.
There is a smart engine behind the show's dumbest, most annoying fucking character.
Yes. What it does is it presents to you this element that you think is so fucking typical and calculated to... And it is calculated, but a different kind of calculated. It presents you with this fucking cliche, like the Emoto character, right? And then at the very end, you learn that the Emoto is very much a character within this.
Yeah. Very much
an invented persona.
An invented persona. And I understand how that is defensible to many people.
Well,
my argument...
It feels like a commentary on how fucking fake the idea of the Emoto is.
That may be the intellectual result. I won't even say it doesn't achieve that.
But you still fucking hated her.
But I still fucking find her annoying. It's like if she just constructed the personality of X-Pac. That's every scene she's in.
My thing is, I'm X-Pac.
Every scene she's in, she cuts an X-Pac promo as a commentary on X-Pac. And at the end, like, yep, you did show X-Pac. I cannot deny that.
See, I love shit like this, is the thing. This is another Sam Catnip thing, where they give me something I hate, and then they're like, whoop! Except, I have a deep respect for when they pull that off. Or for when a show is capable of pulling something off like that.
That was sort of the charm of, not full cliche, they didn't go full cliche, but that was sort of the charm of Agretsuko. Like, they would always start with an archetype and then throw one more coat of paint on it.
Yeah, okay. I didn't watch Agretsuko.
I watched most of it. It's pretty fun.
Did you watch the dub? Apparently Prosy D was in the dub.
Really?
Yeah, he played the leopard manager.
I will try that.
Cool, yeah.
That is an amusing touch. So, yeah, Kaede gave me some intellectual soul pain.
Alright, so I wanted to bring up the character designs of this.
Hit me.
Well, like the rest of the show, they are smart and yet understated. Like Sakura, right? Besides his bedhead, you'd be forgiven for thinking Sakura kind of had like a generic... I'm sorry. Besides his bedhead, you'd be forgiven for thinking that he had kind of a generic design. But there's like these little things they do. Like he wears his tie a little bit looser than the other characters. He does not have his top buttoned to sort of convey through his appearance his sort of philosophy of the quiet iconoclasm, right? That I was talking about.
Yeah, he's a loose element in a rigid environment.
Exactly, and Maya manages to have. And at this point, I would say that among some circles, her look could be considered iconic. Like, I wouldn't call it...
It seems to be influential.
I wouldn't call it Haruhi iconic. But she's impossible to mistake. You see Mai, you know Mai. And they do it with just a couple of rabbit-shaped hair decorations. And those took me a second to spot, and then once I did, I was like, I get it.
You shit
You
bricks.
shit bricks, yeah. Also, people fucking coom for her.
They...
Real fucking hard, like disturbingly hard.
She is the... Sometimes with an editor, you make a sacrificial opening volley and saying this will be a normal thing.
I mean, I get it. I think I get it with her more than I get it with most characters who end up becoming someone's waifu.
Mm-hmm. There is actually a personality behind it. I guess
she's amazingly charming.
When I think of the rom-com things I have enjoyed, Dennard, etc., some kind of resistance in the person's personality is necessary to avoid it just feeling masturbatory. It really can help elevate the thing. Now, in prison school, took the most literal form of resistance humanly possible. The resistance in prison school is, in fact, force.
I might be due for a rewatch of that.
It's a good time. It's a good time. I love the manga, too.
The manga's fantastic, and it did not deserve the fate that was inflicted upon it.
God, the whole business end of manga thing that happens sometimes is really unfortunate.
It's a fucking tragedy.
That production cycle is murder. Like, you look how much time someone gets to make a chapter, and you look at in America, we sort of roll out of bed like, oh man, I'm not sure I'll be able to get these 22
I
pages
should
done in a
probably
month.
call my artist or something. see what he's up to.
Hey, art guy, do you need another assistant?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yo, can you get another guy to do the whole ink part?
I bet there's an artist listening to this podcast right now who's real fucking pissed.
I'm not. No, it's still very hard, but you are not a slave.
But you are not a slave to your publisher. And if you are a slave to your publisher, then you're not as much of a slave to your publisher.
Actually, if you're a slave to your publisher, probably send us an email so that we can help you.
That sounds bad right there.
Like, it's okay if it's in code, just... We're here to help. Total throwaway thing. We were just talking about the show's sense of fucking humor, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a fly-through gag. I don't know why I didn't point it out to you, but I fucking loved it. In the Koga arc, after he has resolved the loops, or one set of the loops.
The first set of the loops.
The first set of the loops.
Yeah.
There was just a throwaway line. You blink and miss. He says, the test results hadn't changed either. And he's using someone else's fucking Twilight Zone moment to cheat on his exams. And that's what we call good shit in
it's
Vince McMahon.
such good shit. I think my favorite Sakura line is, I have friends. 3 of them, even.
Yep.
That
was nice.
It was fucking great. I cannot recommend this show enough. It scratches this really particular itch. I would almost call it, the Kaguya-sama itch, even if Kaguya-sama is a little bit more slapsticky and hyperbolic in its sense of humor. Though no less intelligent, of course. But it's like Haruhi-esque in its way, too.
Oh, the Haruhi thing is in its DNA. I don't think that's to its detriment.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a...
I mean, it definitely wears its influences on its sleeve in that way. Like, I mean, Monogatari, too, is, like, right the fuck there.
Yeah. I overall would give it a solid recommendation. Just a strong recommendation. I just enjoyed it.
It's good.
Also, I think it's literally in a genre niche where I normally just have my head hits the table. So I think I just have to assume that it's great.
And you know what it never really seems to have in it?
Lay it on me.
Dumb anime bullshit. There's so little dumb anime bullshit present in this show.
There is minimal dab, I will say, yeah.
And we can't call it that. It would need to be called sad because I usually call it stupid anime bullshit.
That's true.
And the only stupid anime bullshit present in it is in fact a work.
If you watch the show, by the way, someone tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm not saying the literal exact same music work, but I swear, every teen drama anime above a fucking C has the same fucking piano riff in it.
We're gonna need to watch... Oh god, I can't even believe I'm fucking suggesting it. I have seen it within a year, and it's too fucking soon. We're gonna need to watch Anohana and see if Anohana has the piano riff.
I will be like looking for that thing like a hawk, if I can hear it above whatever quantity of tears we produce, judging by how you describe this fucker.
I don't know how many tears you're gonna produce. I'm gonna produce a lot. I think I actually cried harder the second time.
That's impressive. I mean, the way you described it didn't so much chalk it up to you as much as the show having magic powers. So, I don't know. I don't assume I'm immune to such things. I mean, I am like 6 kinds of dead on the inside, but not 100%. Like 92%. Like, just short of the, like, class 3 toxic masculinity threshold. Where it's like a trait and not an active problem that people bring up.
I'm not going to suggest that the next episode be Anohana. But, like, maybe within the next 6 episodes. We're going to need to work up to it.
All right,
I last watched it in June.
Give you whatever time you need to recover and or forget the finer plot details.
And we would definitely need to watch the entire thing.
Oh, that's not a foreign done one?
No.
No.
Oh, speaking of which, I hear that we need to give Jujutsu Kaisen a couple more episodes. That is what I'm reading.
Okay, people of Earth, look out for us trying out Jujutsu Kaisen Z. Honestly, I could
Like, I could watch
I could
more
see
of that show,
I
yeah.
could watch it. It didn't hurt me.
It didn't. I liked it well enough. It was not the most interesting thing, but apparently it gets more interesting. And hey, apparently there were people who were not on board with Attack on Titan until the 5th episode. I don't understand these people.
They are
but I'm a
strange
stan,
humans.
so fine.
We are in the cult of Eren Yeager.
Oh, Christopher, my brother, has just been spending the week getting to current with the anime, and texted me just words that were fucking music earlier
Nice.
today. This is the best anime.
I'm glad you have converted him to the faith.
to the to the cult of Jaeger. Oh wait, they actually just have a fucking name in the universe.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
It's nice. I should have brought this up during the pacing, but I kind of
Oh sure, yeah.
I described it as the sort of Twilight Zone set because they do focus on sort of one girl's situation at a fuckity time, but there is a nice thing where just elements of another situation are just going on in the background, and it's not a crisis, so Sokka is kind of like just pushes it over there.
Yeah, just like I can deal with this later. It's not urgent.
Like there's just a 12-year-old version of his childhood crush, like
Just visiting his
this
apartment.
cat in his apartment every now and then. He's like, okay, healthy, not lighting any fires, seems to get along with my sister.
That's okay. I can compartmentalize this. I'm good at that.
Have...
Healthy people are good at compartmentalizing things. I'm healthy.
I'm healthy. I'm the healthiest.
So you were talking about the thing that's just kind of going on in the background, and there are a couple great fucking... I call them kind of Penny Arcade-esque gags because I remember I haven't really read the comic a whole lot lately, but I know that during the time I was reading Penny Arcade, one of the main sources of humor was they would be talking about one thing, and then like Gabe would be drinking a glass of orange juice that the fruit fucker just gave him, and like the fruit fucker's got fucking like some orange dripping off of its dick, right?
Yeah.
And that's just like kind of going on, and they have gags kind of akin to that in this, and it's a running gag specifically with Futaba, Science Girl, right?
Right.
Where you'll see some very sciencey thing happening, like a chemical being poured into another thing. And no, she was just using fucking tongs and a beaker to pour hot water into her fucking ramen cup.
I really enjoy those. She, in the show, has a setup of being the only person in their science club, and there is some naked graft afoot, which is nice. And
Yeah, she just has an entire fucking club budget to herself. That sounds fucking awesome. She doesn't have to fight anyone over, whether you should do board games or more D&D books.
something that tickled me, and I'm glad they handled it well, was this thing has a movie after it, right?
Yes.
And they do need to put some butts in seats. So they never actually resolve this childhood friend, little girl, tulpa, whatever thing.
No. I think she's a total.
And within the show, because that's the topic of the fuckity movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a little bit of pointing at the sign and saying, I'll see you at WrestleMania! But it's not obnoxious, and I appreciate that it's not obnoxious. And I appreciate that it lets other things resolve to give the show itself some finality.
Well, it's the way that this show kind of works where they will always seed an arc before it happens. You will always be introduced to the girl from this arc before her arc proper. Mm-hmm. And apparently, one of the arcs that has not been adapted into either the movie or the show involves one of the girls from the idol group. So, like, you've totally met her, prior to her arc, that whole thing. I enjoyed that. I enjoy the whole, like, this is not just some new character who just popped in to say fucking hi. Like, remember fucking Rent-A-Girlfriend? That was perhaps a problem that I had, was just like, oh, here's this asshole now.
Yeah, they kind of just fly into the scene like fucking 747s. Really, Dennard? Is that your default metaphor?
There we go. So I like that you're sort of given this character. You aren't really told that this character is going to be the focus or whatever of an arc, but A, you come to expect, and B, it's kind of fun. You feel smart for recognizing them.
Yeah, like you should know if it's coming. You're paying attention, like the CIA and 747s.
All right, so this is Weeaboo Hell.
This is Weeaboo Hell. Yeah, 2 thumbs up on the whole Rascal dreams of Bunny Girl Senpai thing.
No, it does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai things.
No siree.
We will get our fucking nouns right eventually and stop misgendering our fucking shows.
Wait, it does not... Is it a verb? Oh god, I forgot.
I promise you a second media property will not come up if you Google Bunny Girl Senpai.
Rascal does not. Okay, not. It's not... What kind of a word is not? Is that a preposition? No. Yes.
I don't care, but it's Weeaboo Hell. This is Weeaboo Hell. Fuck 12. Trump can choke on cum.